Hello, it's time for another episode of Discipleship Today. My name is Bob Benson. I pastor Christ Lutheran Church in Bemis Point. We've been talking about discipleship. We've been talking about selfishness and the selflessness that we're called to as Christians. And I think sometimes we all struggle with that. How can we be selfless? I think sometimes we get this idea Jesus was the most selfless person portrayed in our Bibles today. He had all the power in the world, but he didn't use that power to benefit himself. He did benefit others with his power. And I think sometimes we learn from great examples like that. We want to be more like Jesus, right? But sometimes we can learn a lot from bad examples. Some of the characters that we have in the Bible, like Cain. Cain was an example of somebody that had no concern for others at all. Otherwise, he wouldn't have murdered his brother. I mean, why would he be upset about God accepting his brother's sacrifice without accepting his? And I think it was the attitude that it was given in. It says, and Cain gave some, where Abel gave of the best, of the firstborn. And there's a difference there. There's a difference in attitude that drives us to the things we do. We also can learn a lot from King Ahab in the Old Testament. His selfishness drove him to murder. Now, did he actually do the murder? No, but he ordered, his wife ordered the murder over a field that he wanted. There's no indication here that he went and talked to the owner. He didn't talk to Naboth. He didn't make a bargain. He just said, no, I'm not selling it to you. It's my family inheritance. And we don't get that. That there was, land was associated with specific families. He didn't understand that. He was the king. He thought he could have whatever he wanted. David, the man after God's own heart, has this period of selfish attitude when he sees Bathsheba and he wants her. And then it starts him down this road where he becomes a murderer. Murders her husband. And too many people place this undue emphasis on things of this world. And we see that throughout the scripture. James and John approach Jesus. And they want positions of authority when he comes into his kingdom. They want to sit at his right hand and his left hand. What about the other 10 guys standing around? They wanted something more than everybody else was going to get. And probably the best example of selfishness that we can learn from is the older brother of the prodigal. He had an example. He had no compassion or love for his brother. And that shows up in the reaction that he gives after this whole thing pours out. We have to understand that Jesus said to his disciples, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, and that you also love one another. John 13:34. We are commanded to have love one for another. This older brother seemed to love his father, but had a lack of love for his little brother. And I think sometimes we can get that way. We can think we're the most important thing because we're the thing that we know the best. But we're called to live a life of selflessness. We learn from these bad examples, and then we have the best example of selflessness in Jesus Christ. I would encourage you to evaluate your life, evaluate your associations, your friendships, and see if you are really pouring into being selfless, that you're thinking about others' needs more than you're thinking about your own. So for Discipleship Today, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to watch.